Picture this. You're standing right on the edge of a really high balcony. In your left hand, you're holding a heavy, solid rock. In your right hand, a standard, fuzzy tennis ball. You stick your arms out over the edge, take a deep breath, and let go of both at the exact same split second.
So here's the big question. Which one actually hits the ground first? Now, your gut instinct, and honestly a super common student misconception, probably screams that the heavier rock is going to plummet faster and smash into the concrete first. I mean, it kind of just makes sense, right? Heavier things push down harder. But if we were doing this in a sealed vacuum tube with absolutely no air, they'd hit the ground at the exact same instant. No joke.
So, why does our everyday experience totally lie to us? Well, it's because we live in a world packed with air. In the real world, air resistance acts like this invisible cushion, pushing back and slowing down lighter or wider objects. But in the physics ideal, which is exactly what we're diving into today, we completely strip away that air resistance. We just assume friction is negligible. And in that ideal scenario, we discover this wild truth. When things fall, mass absolutely does not matter.
By the end of this explainer, you are going to deeply understand this whole concept of free fall. You'll master the core formulas behind it, and you'll be able to easily apply them to solve some pretty complex real-world examples. Like, calculating exactly where an object is seconds after being chucked off a cliff.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What exactly is free fall? By definition, free fall is motion driven only by the force of gravity. That's it. Once an object leaves your hand, whether you casually dropped it, tossed it straight up, or hurled it straight down, gravity steps in and becomes the sole boss of its journey. If gravity is literally the only force acting on the object, boom, it's in free fall.
And gravity? Well, it operates with a strict, unchanging rule. Here on Earth, it pulls everything toward the planet's center with a constant average acceleration of 9.80 meters per second squared. This number right here is the absolute engine of all our calculations. It's so important it gets its own special symbol, a lowercase g. It is always there, pulling downwards, and it acts on a feather and a sledgehammer in the exact same way. Okay, wait, this is absolutely crucial. Listen closely for a second, because before we calculate a single thing, we have got to talk about coordinate systems. This right here is where a ton of students make a critical mistake on exams. If we decide that the upward direction is positive, which is, the standard way we graph things, then gravity, because it is always pulling downward, absolutely must be negative. So your acceleration is negative 9.80 meters per second squared. Always establish your plus and minus signs before you even touch the math. Now that we've got the basic idea down, let's move over to the formulas. To solve any one-dimensional kinematics problem, I want you to use this simple, foolproof three-step framework. Step 1, define your positive and negative directions, just like we talked about. Step 2, list out literally every known variable you have, like initial velocity, time, or your starting position. And step 3, pick the kinematics equation that leaves you with only one unknown variable to solve for.
And here they are, the 3 specific equations you'll be choosing from. Notice how we've kind of tweaked the standard motion equations you might already know? Well, because we're dealing with vertical motion here, we use y for displacement instead of x. And brilliantly, we've replaced that generic acceleration a with a negative g. This effectively bakes the downward pull of gravity right into your formulas, so you literally can't forget it.
Let's make this a whole lot easier with a concrete example. Imagine a person standing right on the edge of a super high cliff. They wind up and throw a rock straight up into the air with an initial velocity of 13.0 meters per second. We're going to set the starting position, so the top of the cliff, as a y of 0. Now, since it's thrown upward, the initial velocity is positive 13.0, but gravity is immediately pulling it down. Let's trace exactly what happens over the next 3 seconds. Look at how this data just perfectly tells the story of the rock's journey. At 1 second, the position is positive 8.10 meters, and the velocity is a positive 3.20. So it's high up, but gravity has significantly slowed it down from that initial 13. At 2 seconds, the position is still positive at 6.40 meters above the cliff edge, but look at the velocity. It is completely flipped from positive to negative 6.60. That change in sign means it's falling back down. By 3 seconds, both position and velocity are negative. The rock has plunged right past the starting point and is speeding downward at 16.4 meters per second. Now, you might be wondering, what happens at the exact peak of its flight? Right around 1.5 seconds, the rock reaches its absolute highest altitude. For a fraction of a split second, its velocity is exactly 0, as it stops moving up and gets ready to fall back down. So here's a quick question for you to think about.
What is the rock's acceleration at that exact apex moment when it is totally frozen in midair?
If you guessed 0, you've fallen for a classic student trap. The acceleration is still exactly negative 9.80 meters per second squared. Gravity doesn't just take a coffee break because the object stopped moving vertically for a millisecond. Gravity is the entire reason it stopped, and the reason it's about to plummet. The acceleration is totally constant for the entire trip, going up and coming down.
Let's explore another scenario just to build on this. What if, instead of throwing the rock up, the person on the cliff winds up and throws the rock straight down with that exact same initial speed of 13.0 meters per second? How fast is it actually going when it passes that negative 5.10 meter mark below the cliff that we saw in the first example?
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the mathematical symmetry of physics. If we calculate the final velocity at negative 5.10 meters for the rock thrown straight down, the math gives us exactly negative 16.4 meters per second. Do you notice anything? That is the exact same downward velocity the first rock had at that same depth. Even though the first rock was thrown up, rose, stopped, and fell all the way back down, they both passed that exact marker at the exact same speed.
So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by this principle. The speed of a falling object depends only on its initial speed and its vertical position relative to the starting point. The journey going up and coming back down is a perfectly mirrored reflection. If you throw a ball straight up at 13 meters per second, when it passes your hand on the way back down, it is traveling at exactly negative 13 meters per second. It's almost like magic, but it's just physics.
As we bring this explainer to a close, let's quickly summarize the key takeaways so you are completely ready for your homework. First, gravity provides a constant downward acceleration of 9.80 meters per second squared, always. Second, as long as air resistance is negligible, the mass of the object doesn't change a single thing. And third, always firmly define your positive and negative coordinates before plugging any numbers into your freefall equations. Now let's connect this to real life with a quick final challenge. Have a friend hold a ruler vertically between your open thumb and index finger. Ask them to drop it completely without warning, and you pinch it to catch it as fast as you possibly can. Note how many centimeters the ruler fell before you caught it. Using that distance and gravity as your acceleration, you can actually use the exact freefall equations we learned today to calculate your personal reaction time in seconds. Try it out, and I'll see you in our next explainer where we'll take these one-dimensional concepts and launch them into 2 dimensions with projectile motion.